He remembered the shift like a glitch in the Matrix. One moment she was there, texting good morning with heart emojis, calling just to say she missed him, laughing at things that weren't even funny just because it was him, and then silence. No warning, no build-up, just ... gone. The absence felt physical, like something was ripped out of his daily rhythm. At first, he didn't panic. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she needed space. But hours turned into days, and the silence became deafening. He stared at his phone like it had betrayed him, waiting for her name to pop up, for any kind of sign. Nothing. He wanted to message her. 1,000 drafts were typed and deleted, but pride held him back. Not out of ego, out of fear. Fear that she wouldn't reply. Fear that her silence meant she had truly moved on. But what he didn't realize was that her silence was its own message, not of detachment, but of conflict. She wasn't ghosting him because she didn't care. She was hiding because she cared too much. Caught in a storm of emotions, she couldn't explain. One half of her wanted to hear his voice, feel his comfort. The other half screamed at her to stay strong, to protect her heart from falling back into what might hurt her again. So she said nothing. She waited too. She watched the same way he did, praying for a sign but refusing to make the first move. And in that quiet war between two people afraid to be vulnerable, love was smothered by silence. He didn't know it then, but the distance wasn't about moving on. It was about resisting the pull of something that still mattered too much to ignore. And both of them were losing to their own pride. She scrolled through his profile again, telling herself it was the last time, but it never really was. Every photo, every story, every caption was a quiet test. A way to measure if he still remembered her, if his life had moved on, or if she still echoed somewhere in it. She'd zoom in on group pictures, looking for clues. Was that the same hoodie she bought him? Did he look happier? Did his eyes still carry a trace of the weight they used to share? She wouldn't dare interact. No likes, no Ms., not even a burner account. She wanted to stay invisible, but involved. Present, but hidden. That was the game now, staying close, without being noticed. Mutual friends became unexpected lifelines. She'd ask about him like it meant nothing. Shrugged, a casual tone, a quick topic change, but her heart waited for the answer. Every time someone said he seemed fine, a small piece of her cracked. Not because she wanted him unhappy. She just wasn't ready for him to be okay without her. She thought he'd linger at least a little. But he moved differently now, confident, controlled. Like a man no longer reacting to the past, but living. For something beyond it, she hated how often she thought of reaching out. The drafts lived in her notes, unsent and unfinished. It's not because she didn't know what to say, but because she was terrified of what he wouldn't. His silence scared her more than any reply ever could, because silence meant peace. And if he had found peace without her, where did that leave her? So she stayed quiet, still watching, still wondering. And in that quiet corner of her world, he lived louder than ever. During the day, everything looked normal. She smiled at the right moments, laughed just loud enough, and replied to every message like nothing was missing. Her posts showed her glowing out with friends, sipping coffee in cozy corners, dancing under colored lights. To everyone else, she looked untouched, unbothered, like she had finally moved on. But the truth was far from what the world saw. The real battle began. The moment the noise stopped, when the makeup came off, when the lights dimmed and her phone was finally still, that's when it all came crashing down. Lying in bed, she stared at the ceiling, trying to breathe through the weight on her chest. It wasn't just the silence. From him, it was the silence inside her. The kind that comes when someone who once filled your life leaves without taking their presence with them. She still heard his voice in the quiet, still felt his laugh between the pauses of her playlist, no matter how hard she tried. She couldn't shake the memory of how he used to say her name like it meant something deeper. She tried to distract herself. New conversations, new places, even new faces. But no one reached her the way he had. They couldn't see the parts of her he once held so carefully. Every attempt to move forward felt like walking in circles. She hated that she missed. Him hated that she still cared. But emotions didn't ask for permission. They stayed quietly, even when she wanted to let them go. So, she kept pretending. During the day, she was fine. But at night, in the silence, the truth screamed she wasn't over him. Not yet. Maybe not ever. She told herself she was done. She repeated it like a mantra, I don't care anymore. But every time his name popped up in a conversation, her chest tightened. Every time she saw a post that hinted at his life moving forward, she paused just a little too long. She never admitted it out loud, but she was still checking in. Not with words, never directly, but through the screen, through whispers in group chats, through tiny windows of digital presence. She noticed everything when he stopped posting for a few days, when he smiled differently in a new photo, when a girl commented something that felt just a little too familiar. She tried to convince herself it was harmless curiosity, just keeping up. But deep down, she knew she was searching for something, maybe signs he hadn't let go, maybe proof that she still mattered. Pride kept her from saying anything. Pride told her that reaching out would be weakness. Could watched from a distance and hoped it was enough, that he'd somehow feel her in the silence, that he'd see through the quiet and know she still cared. But he never reached out. He never cracked. He was calm, steady, unreadable, and that rattled her more than any angry message could. Because he used to be the one who folded first, who reached out with soft apologies. Now he moved with a kind of peace she couldn't access. And that peace made her question everything. Maybe she wasn't the one in control anymore. Maybe he had truly let go. And every day she stayed silent. That possibility became more real and more unbearable. She never expected him to grow without her. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she thought he'd stay paused, stuck in the same place she left him waiting, hoping, still emotionally tethered to her memory. But he didn't. Slowly, silently, he changed. He stopped reacting. He stopped chasing closure. The boy who used to overthink every text, who once begged for understanding, evolved into a man who no longer needed answers to heal. And that shift shook her in ways she couldn't explain, because it meant she no longer had the same effect. Her absence no longer caused chaos, it created calm. She watched as he carried himself with quiet strength. No more indirect quotes. No more subtle posts for her to decode. His life looked peaceful, focused, intentional. And in that peace, she saw the version of him she never got to know, the one who loved himself enough to walk away. Not out of bitterness, but out of growth. He didn't come back. He didn't need to. Silence became his power, his final answer to all the unspoken questions between them, she realized. Too late that she was holding on to a ghost, not the man he became, but the one who used to wait. And the more she clung to that memory, the more she understood he wasn't hers anymore, not even in thought. That haunted her, because the version of him she knew wouldn't have let go without a fight. But this one did. And he didn't lose by letting go, he won. Without saying a word, he made the loudest statement of all. I chose me. It wasn't his silence that hurt her most. It was the fact that she finally understood it.